Radio Network. Joining us now, another FOJ, friend of John. This is like friend of John week,
yeah.
Martha, right?
We
get
all
our
friends
on this week.
I love it.
And we couldn't have our anniversary without our good friend, FOJ, friend of John, Joe Grogan, former senior White House official advisor to President Trump. And Joe Grogan, great to have you with us, Joe.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Joe, so tell us what's going on. Like, we're at game day here. We're in Atlanta. I'm predicting we're going to win at least one of these two seats, maybe two if we get a big turnout. This is day one of day two. Walk us through, Joe, January the 2nd. What's Trump's plan? What's the vice president going to do? What's the system? Walk us through that, Joe.
You're talking about for trying to appeal the election results?
Yes. Yeah.
They've got a really difficult road to hoe. I mean, with each passing day, their freedom of movement is that much more restricted, and their options are that much narrower. I'm like you. I mean, I'm really focused. We absolutely have to win these Senate seats. That anybody who's not a supporter of AOC should be recognizing how important these Senate seats. I understand the anger and the frustration with the election results, and what was where we're headed towards a Biden inauguration. It's not the result that I wanted. It's not the result that I worked for. It's not the effort that I sacrificed for. But we got to win these Senate seats, and we'll see what the Senate is able to gin up with some of these senators objecting to the certification of the electoral results. But I got to be honest with you, John, as much as I'd like to say that things are going to be different, I think that the president's got his hand right now in this game is really it's not looking great. And I think what we've got to figure out is how do we win here in Georgia, and then what do we do next? And I think the president is going to be leaving the White House with a tremendous amount of followers, a tremendous movement, a tremendous amount of achievements. And, oh, by the way, he's going to have a lot of money in the bank to think about what he wants to do next and figure out if he wants to run again, figure out if he wants to be a kingmaker. But make no mistake, he is going to be the dominant force in the Republican Party and, frankly, in the conservative movement for a long period of time.
Well, Joe, I think so. I'm still not convinced that January 20th Biden's going to be inaugurated. I'm going to wait and see, but certainly today is step one of the two-step plan, first half, if you will. We have to win at least one of these seats. Joe Grogan with us, former senior domestic policy advisor, President Trump. Joe, White House, let's talk about what is going on at the White House. And as far as the vaccine rollout, it's getting a lot of criticism. Here's what's happening, though, Joe, honestly. A lot of people tune criticism from the fake news out because, it doesn't matter what Trump does, they criticize it. So, I, as even a media person, have tuned it out because it's I don't believe anything they say. They're all liars. So, but what is really happening with the vaccine rollout, and how could it be better?
Well, it is. There's no question that it's choppy. But anybody who knows anything about this should have expected this. We've got about 5 million shots in arms right now. There were predictions from some people in the government, we'll have 20 million by the end of 2020. Full vaccinations. Remember, these vaccines, they take 2 shots in order to be fully vaccinated, although the first shot does provide a level of protection, a high level of protection, to be honest with you. But the thing is, the government-centric approach has led to some choppy rollout. I think that now money is flowing to the states. Congress dumped a bunch of money into the system. The states no longer have an excuse to roll this out, not roll this out expeditiously. They're adjusting. I think you're going to see more a rapid deployment with each passing day. But I would say this, John, I do think we need to get more of the vaccine into the commercial channel and just say, look, the pharmacies, the distributors that distribute our pharmaceuticals in this country know what they're doing. Let's give them more of it instead of relying on the states to distribute all of it, because we can't rely on government What are we doing as conservatives and Republicans thinking that government can solve this problem? There are huge private sector enterprises that this is their business, distributing drugs, distributing vaccines, and we've got to rely on them. So let's rip off the Band-Aid and unleash these guys to get shots in arms.
Well, Joe, so right now the government is in charge of this. So you want to put the private industry, commercial enterprise in charge of the rollout. If you were advising the president now, give us the top two things you would tell him to do.
Well, it's interesting. Today he's going to be meeting with the task force. Personally, he's going to be chairing the meeting. I imagine this is going to be the number one subject. Why are they not doing better on rollout? And what I would say is there is a role for government with certain populations that are going to be difficult to get to. But overall, it is time to do the same thing we do with flu vaccine, to be honest with you. There's a role for government, but the private sector gets a lot of people vaccinated for flu in this country. Private sector doctors, private sector pharmacies, private sector distributors. And I would just say, look, let it go. Let this vaccine go. And you know what? If you want to be creative, you want to be Trumpian at this point. If Amazon wants to get all their employees vaccinated, if Disney wants to get all their employees vaccinated and they've got a plan, boom, give them the vaccine and say, do it. I would have a lot of confidence in big, sophisticated operations to do that more than I would, say, the governor of X state who's got their top medical person is a Medicaid official who's probably not doing a great job administering Medicaid. So I would unleash the private sector more, put more of it into the private channel, and I would also start to be a little bit aggressive about figuring out who really needs 2 shots versus just 1. Remember, the first shot gives you a high level of protection. I could be perfectly fine if they said, hey, there's 2 shots for your family. My wife gets 1, I get 1, because it's 85% protective for bad, severe COVID.
Right.
It's over 50% effective for all COVID. Let me have it, and let's get more people vaccinated, because the sooner we get people vaccinated, the sooner we get herd immunity, the sooner we're coming out of this and we're back to real life.
Joe Grogan, I want to thank you for your time today. Former Senior Domestic Policy Advisor, President Trump. Joe, thanks for your insight. I kind of agree with you. I think the rollout would go a lot better if we put it into private enterprise hands, got out of the hands of the government. Of course, if your prediction comes true and Biden is inaugurated, that's the last thing they're going to do. And, they're going to politicize the vaccine, Joe, like they've politicized everything. Joe, thank you for being with us.